Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where I am actually missing my cup of coffee. It is about 6 p.m. in the evening, so I started brewing a cup of tea, came in here, started moving things around, ended up leaving my cup of tea on the counter in there, so hopefully it will not get too cold while I'm sitting here recording this episode. But I am talking about Poisoner's Vengeance by Talia Greer. And I will tell you that I was drawn to this book. As you can see, this cover is really cool and it's very pretty by the cover. But I did not realize until probably about halfway into it that it was intended to be kind of a romantic fantasy, because I was really intrigued by the story of the kind of this this really angsty nun. So let me dive into the summary real quick, because the romance that's within it is really kind of a slow burn and really takes a, I would say, backseat to the rest of the story that's going on within the pages. So let's dive into the summary and go from there. A nun with a thirst for revenge, a demon out to clear his name, a bargain might destroy them. Poison brewing nun Annette has one goal to be awarded the top of her class and with it gain her freedom. When a new novitiate steals the award, her dream turns towards revenge. Her retribution? Teaming up with a demon to secretly sabotage the Abbey's recertification. When Rigo, the Abbey's demon prisoner of 20 years, offers Annette his assistance, she can't help accepting. All he wants in exchange for his freedom and the ancient relic Annette has accidentally is his freedom and the ancient relic Annette has accidentally bound herself to. Though the relic, too, believes in her cause and nurtures her wrath, its self-proclaimed holiness doesn't quite add up, leaving her unsure who to trust. To untangle the web of lies and secrets lying beneath the Abbey, Annette must decide: trust the ancient relic, a symbol of her faith, or who claims to have her best interests at heart, or trust the demon, the monster she was taught to fear, whose intense gaze and keen observation makes her feel seen like never before. Whew, that took a bit of stumbling over, didn't it? So, expected publication of March 31st of 2025. So, I picked this up, like I said, because I thought the cover was really cool, and I was like, I think I was caught on NetGalley, because when I look at books on NetGalley, the first thing I kind of look at is, well, the cover. The cover is the first thing on NetGalley that I always see, if the cover is there to be seen. And I think that I saw Poison Brewing Nun, and I was like, that sounds intriguing. And it said Poisoner's Vengeance. And I was like, well, okay, I think I need to read this book. So I wanted to know, this novitiate, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's kind of like this novice initiate. I'm assuming that's how that is. Steals her away her award. And she has been working so hard to gain this award. She has been working nonstop, focusing her career in order. Well, she's been an initiate for who knows how long, and just as soon as she is about to join into the ranks of becoming a sister, she pretty much at this naming ceremony or this awarding ceremony where each sister pretty much accepts their position into this faith, they are often given an award if they've done well in a particular subject or what have you. Well, Annette, through her time in this convent, so to speak, and it does not seem like it's a traditional convent. So when I say that, please don't assume it is a traditional religious convent. It would be definitely not a Catholic convent. These nuns are definitely not in that realm of belief. So this is very fantasy. So there is a demon, in more or less terms, in their archive room in the basement. And he's just hanging out. So he's in prison, yes, but he is pretty much hanging out. So he's been there for about 20 years. Don't think the Catholic nuns would have allowed that to happen should this have been their order of belief. However, anyway, moving on. Annette, she was under the impression and firm belief that she had worked diligently, she had worked her fingers off in order to gain this particular award to be the chief poisoner of the convent, so to speak. And the abbey would then like award her this, and then she would be able to go out into the world to pretty much gain notoriety as a poisoner. And it sounds as though this particular career is not really a poisoner in the way we may think of it as truly poisoning people. Like, I'm sure that you can do that sort of thing, but it also seems to be that a poisoner must also be able to heal in certain respects, must be able to offer remedies, and maybe almost like an apothecary. They just know a lot of herb lore that must seem to translate well into the outside world. So she is really looking forward to this level of freedom that she is going to gain. She was dropped off here, I want to say in the book, when she was about 7 or 10 years old. She was very young. She was just like dropped off, and her family never came back for her. So she has really severe abandonment issues. So she also has this deep-rooted, deep-seated fear of needing to prove herself and to ensure that the people around her, that the people that she more or less bonds with, don't abandon her in like again in that sort of respect. So that's also like, she's a flawed character, and so when it comes to how this story plays out, this other character comes along, and we start to see it at the beginning where she's so used to kind of singing this one particular aria at the morning prayers, and the Mother Superior sort of lets this other girl, she's like, oh, I know you frequently sing it, but we're going to let this girl sing it. And so she's kind of like, well, what? And she's like, okay. So she sits back down, and the other girl sings it, and she sings it really beautifully, and she's like, oh, how dare she steal my limelight. And so there is a lot of like jealousy and resentment, and I'm like, okay, that's a little much, but okay. I mean, moving forward. And then I think that girl like does something, Annette does something to that girl, and they move on. But then it comes to that awarding ceremony. Things happen. Annette doesn't get her award, and this girl, Annette, just literally is like unhinged. She is out for blood. She is so very ambitious in her specific like self-righteousness of what she feels like she deserves and what she feels like she is owed. And like, I don't know what kind of nun would like, the nuns that I've never grown up with nuns. That's not like anything that I've had to grow up around, but the ones that I've seen on TV, and I guess my true understanding of nuns would be like Sister Act and Sound of Music. That's probably like my understanding of nuns, which is not understanding at all. But anyway, I feel as though those nuns would be incredibly offended if this particular nun, Annette, came in there and had this level of absolute rage over losing these like awards and this like having this weird like obsession with needing to be perfect. So I was just like, wow, because she is so very intelligent and she's so very good at being organized. And so when it comes time for the abbey to be recertified, because it happens apparently like every 3 or 4 years that the abbey's got to get recertified, and so they have to do like this sort of spring cleaning sort of thing, and nobody's really been taking care of the archives because the nun that was kind of in charge of that, she passed away. Natural causes, but she passed away. And nobody's really been doing that for the past couple months, maybe years, just depending on how well that nun was doing in the past. So Annette's like, I'll do it, because that way she can kind of maybe figure out how to help the abbey fail its recertification, because she feels like, well, if I don't get what I want, you can't have what you want. And then she also feels like, well, I don't want to be around you people right now, so I'm going to go to my little hidey hole. And while she's down there, she meets this demon in a cage. He's been down there apparently for months without being fed or anything. He seems hungry, but fine. And honestly, he seems fairly normal. He seems like the most normal person in this entire book. This demon seems like the most normal person in the entire book. He's like a Miyazaki demon. Like, he's the normal guy, and the humans are the ones that are really messed up. But again, and I did notice somebody else was made a comment that like the demon didn't actually really have any demonic qualities. And I think reading it, the only thing that was demonic about him was maybe his more like, there were some physical aspects of him that were elongated or possibly distorted in certain ways, but nothing like overtly grotesque in any biblical demonic sort of ways. So I don't know. Honestly, he seemed fine. He the way he spoke to her was pleasant. The way she snapped at him was pretty awful. So she had a lot of attitude, and he seemed to, I don't know, cater to that pretty well. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I thought the story about her against her versus the Abbey was pretty well done. Her then, and I don't think it was really enemies to lovers with regards to her and the demon, and his name again is Rigo. But Annette and Rigo, I honestly didn't feel like I needed that. I could have done with like a friendship. Them there for supporting each other would have been fine. I don't know if Annette is emotionally stable enough for any sort of relationship right now. Like, she has some things she needs to work through. That's just what I've got to say. He's got some Stockholm syndrome perhaps, because he's been in like an isolation cell for like 20 years. She has some anger issues that she needs to work on. That's just what I'm saying. But I'm not so certain that she... Is it enemies to lovers? I don't want to say no. I just say no because, except for the fact that she's just mean to begin with, they don't really start out as enemies, because unless the fact that she just automatically jumps to the conclusion, like jumps to that assumption, I guess I should say, that demon equals enemy. And so she has to decide if she's going to trust him or this being that's talking to her in a ring she put on her finger. And honestly, the ring that she puts on her finger is way more sketchy in its way it talks to her than the demon. So, again, girl has some issues. I read this book really fast. I think it says that it's about 300 pages in hardback. I think I read it in about a day because I did just fly through it. It does have a slightly gothic feel to it because it feels like it happens in like this maybe gothic abbey vibe. Like very old schoolish nunnery, convent sort of thing. Part of it's been burned down, but maybe not really burned down. It's been sealed off. Yeah, so there is a dark moodiness to it as well. There is a lot of atmosphere, and people are pretty unpredictable as well. There are a couple characters that seem to act out of character. So, with all of that being said, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let you guys figure it out. I give it about a 4.25 stars. I think I was pretty intrigued by the story. Again, I think for me, I don't think the romance was really necessary. I will go ahead and let you know there is at least one substantial spicy scene that I was just like, okay, all right, that happened. And I was just kind of like, all right, how many pages is this? Because I was just like, come on. But anyway, just letting you know, this one does have a spicy scene. Just putting that out there. If you want to know, yes, it's there, but it's closer to the end. But if you want to also know and avoid it, it's there, but it's closer to the end. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope if you have not liked and subscribed that you will, and that you'll tune in, maybe come back and visit us again. And when I say us, I've got my puppies just a few feet away from me. Sometimes they're fuss pots, but right now they're doing pretty good because they just had dinner. And I will see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.